Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tania. Today I'm just gonna be doing a Bible study on on one of the chapters that spoke out to me. Today I'm gonna be coming from Zechariah, chapter 7, verse 5. And this is the NLT. It reads, "During these 70 years of exile, when you fasted and mourned in the summer and in early autumn, was it really for me that you were fasting?" And today I want to talk about, fasting and praying, and specifically to the younger people. But if you relate, you relate. If you don't, you don't. So just off of my experience, when it comes to fasting and praying, it didn't click or dawn on me, even though like with adults, it might have like came naturally or they might have understood this before I did. But it didn't dawn on me about fasting and praying. Like when you fast, like it's not just giving up. Like it's not just giving up food. Because if that's the case, you just going on a diet. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to fasting and praying, like when you fast and when you're giving up, you're supposed to be in communion with God. You're supposed to be sacrificing and continuing to be in His Word. There should be like, it shouldn't just be you giving up something. You have to be offering something as well. You know what I mean? You have to be giving God your time. It's like it says during the 70 years. First off, that's a long time. During these 70 years of exile, my bad, when you fasted and mourned in the summer and early autumn, was it really for me that you were fasting? Sometimes we have to kind of give ourselves a reality check. Like, are we fasting for God? Are we really fasting for God? You know what I mean? Because if we were fasting for God, it would show. The proof is in the pudding. When you're fasting, are you fasting for the Lord, or is it selfishly motivated? Is your fasting just specifically about you? You know what I mean? Or, oh, well, I'm fasting. Well, of course, we fast and pray to get answers from the Lord. You know what I mean? But with that, you're giving time to God. You're letting Him know. You're making it known and obvious by being in His face that you are willing to give up and sacrifice for Him. And then the love you have for God, that you're willing to give up your time to be able to get to where you need to be. You know what I mean? So many times I've caught myself fasting and wasn't even praying during it. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but I've found myself so many times call myself, "Oh yeah, I'm fasting," but you ain't praying and you ain't picked up nobody Bible. So it's just like, no, sweetie, you're just on a diet because you're not fasting, you're not praying, you're not doing none of that. When we fast, Jesus should be our number one priority. Well, He should always be our number one priority, but just speaking of this specific topic, when we're fasting, He should be our top priority. Not the material things that we want, not anything that we're trying to get. He should be our priority. God has done so much for us, and it's like the least we can do is give Him our time. You know what I mean? It's just we should always give God our time. But when we're looking for God to move in our lives, we fast, and when we fast, we should keep God first. You know what I mean? That should be our only priority, because when we do that, we should automatically know that God is gonna move for us. This is on down. I wanted to just specify Zechariah 7 and 5, but this is on down. It says, this is just my notes. I'm not going to read it. You can read the whole chapter if you like. We should judge fairly and show kindness and mercy to one another. The way Jesus treats us is the way we should treat one another. Let me see if I can go to it. Might take me a minute to find. Oh, there we go. God's good, y'all. I went right to it. Let's see. Okay. This is verse 9. Thus speaketh the Lord of hosts, saying, execute true judgment, and shew mercy and compassions every man to his brother. And oppress not the widow, nor the fatherless, the stranger, nor the poor, and let none of you imagine evil against his brother in your heart. And that's verse 10. I'm going to stop there. So we shouldn't look down on nobody. We shouldn't judge nobody. You know, everybody is going through different things. And you know, a lot of times, a lot of the people that be picking on you or be messing with you be some of the main ones that's really be going through some stuff. They just have a better way of hiding it. You know what I mean? Don't ever think nobody is not going through something, because they are. This is life. You know, like some people just have that mentality, you know, to hurt people, you know. Hurt people hurt. That is so true. Like, people that are hurt, expect them to try to hurt others because they don't know how to cope with that pain or the things that they're going through. So don't pay no attention to it. You know, pray for them and keep it moving, because you know they don't know anything else to do, you know. Don't be like the ancestors that didn't listen. Learn from their mistakes. Don't do what they did. Mama told me there's certain lessons that are taught and there are certain lessons that are bought. And you don't ever have to buy no lesson. You know, especially when your people or somebody you know have went through it and they're telling you and they're trying to teach you, or like letting you know, like, hey, this is what I did, but don't do that. You know what I mean? Because I bumped my head. And there's certain lessons that, you know, like you go through anyways. You know, God, there's everything. We are on this earth to go through sometimes, you know, like we are destined to go through. You can't get out of that. However, there are certain things that you do not have to go through. And with the ancestors, don't rebel and do what they did. You know what I mean? Be better. Be better than your family members that bumped their heads. Be better than your family members that didn't do right. You know, learn from their mistakes. Don't go. You see the consequences and the suffering that some of your family members went through or your friends went through. So don't even try to put yourself through that. You know what I mean? Like, don't. It's not worth it. You know, time is of the essence. Time ain't waiting on nobody. Don't mess yourself up years because you could have avoided something. Especially when somebody is telling you, or you know, see it like for yourself, that you know you could avoid it. When the ancestors refused to listen to God, God refused to listen to them. Don't ever get to the point where God turns a deaf ear on you. That's what you don't want. Now, could you imagine the God of mercy, the God of grace, the God of love, to turn his ear away from you, to just not listen to you no more? Do you know how far in rebellion you have to be for God to be like, all right, I'm through with you? Like, we talking about God. We ain't talking about man. We talking about God. The one who is always there for us, always there to hold our hands even when we mess up. Don't ever get to a point where he has to turn a deaf ear on you because you don't want to listen, or you don't want to be obedient to his word. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. And I can't even say I know what it is, because I don't know how I feel, but just thinking about it, no. Because we need God for everything. We need God for every step in our lives. You know what I mean? Whether we know it or not. We always have something to thank God about. Even if it's a parking spot, or even if it's the sun is not scorching hot outside. We just never know. God is just so good to us. And I just want to come on and, just do a little Bible study. So just make sure your fasting is not selfish. Make sure you are fasting for God. Make sure you are doing what you need to do. You are offering up the sacrifices and still being in your word and drawing closer to God. And regardless of what you might say, the proof is in the pudding. You know what I mean? God knows, regardless of whether you try to prove it to somebody, God knows what you're doing. He knows what you're not doing. So, and then don't judge people fairly. I mean, first off, we shouldn't judge people at all. But in this case, it says judge people fairly, show kindness. So don't look down on people. We ain't no better than the next. We all going through. So, just continue to pray for one another, continue to love on one another, and continue to show kindness, because that's what Jesus would do. And I hope you all are blessed.